What's up, guys? Welcome to a interesting little type of video. I don't know what this video is going to turn into, but let's just get straight to the point here. I've got a 3v3 tournament later today at my locals at 6 o'clock, and it is currently about 1:54. So we've got some time, and it's the weather outside is not that great, but it shouldn't be too bad. You know, nothing, not used to living here in Buffalo. But the point is, 3 of my friends had decided to get together for a team for this 3v3 tournament that's going on later. One of the teammates has unfortunately became very sick as of last night, and my friend actually called me last night at like 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night, and he's like, hey, he's not feeling well. Can we have you, fill in, essentially? And I said, sure. But it's actually, it's nice that I get to play now, because playing in tournaments is always very fun. I love the competitive feel of it, and, just trying to beat everybody else, essentially. Even if it's a small local 3v3, it's still really fun just to go and try to just win, But it is unfortunate that my friend has become ill, and that's the reason why I'm playing. I will try to, I'll try to not let you down with the contents of this box here, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys probably already know what I'm playing. So this is the deck that I'm opting to play. You guys have probably seen this before. I don't think I've uploaded a deck profile yet, so I guess you guys will get a little sneak peek for checking this video out. It's 40 cards. The only major changes I've made is I've added a Mothman in for more dangers, because the dangers are really nice. They help you draw into better cards. I don't know how many times. Maybe I've just gotten lucky, but how many times these cards here have turned a terrible hand into drawing a card like Mathman, Tour Guide, or Gallus and just completely saving the day. Or this card. And I also actually swapped the supers, or the parallel secrets with the supers, for one specific reason. I'll show you guys. The reason why I ended up dropping the secrets was basically, I don't know what it is with some of the parallel rare cards. They just they look really nice, but they have they just kind of bend too much. I don't know what it is. It's just these do look so nice, but they just need time to flatten out, I guess, because these ones from the OTS pack are just a lot flatter, and they sit flatter, and they just sit nice in the deck. Brand new sleeves for the occasion. Swapped out the rarity of the Sekka's Light, and I think we're ready to go. And of course, tournament prep would not be complete without first taking a glance at our extra and side deck. So, starting with the extra deck, thing is pretty much staying the same. Still rocking the double star Yugioh and same Link 4 lineup. BLS Link, still one of the best cards in the extra deck, of course, next to Cherubini. Decided to throw the Beatrice back in as well. But when we move on to the side deck here, one of the main changes I wanted to make was dropping the Phantasmes. Mainly because in recent testing, and most testing in general, to be honest, Phantasme's just proven to be lackluster, as it's really just unusable against a lot of rogue matchups, which is where I feel this deck struggles. But the card Droll and Lockbird does come in clutch against a lot of rogue matchups, and quite a few meta matchups as well. So I've decided to drop the Phantasmes for now in place of the Droll and Lockbird. And yes, I've got those beautiful common Droll and Lockbirds to take out those Thanos dragons. But moving on, we've got the next card I wanted to discuss in the side deck, which was Dark Ruler No More. I figured since I already have Nibiru and Droll and Lockbird, I wouldn't need the Dark Ruler No Mores. I feel like having 9 cards for combo is a bit excessive. And again, I wanted to put Evenly Matched back in its place, because it still has a really good rogue matchup in of its own right, and can also be good for build-a-board decks such as my own. So an easy decision there to put the Evenlies back into the deck. Still have yet to resolve an Evenly Match in recent memory, so maybe I'll get to do that at some point in the future, and who knows, it might come in super clutch. So for those reasons, more or less, that's why it's going back in the side deck this time around, and the Dark Rulers are going back in the binder. Start packing up my bag, because it doesn't hurt to be ready to go and on time, which I usually am not, but don't want to let the boys down. Loading up the binders, number 1, binder number 2, which now has become sort of like an extra deck binder, just to keep things more organized, because being more organized is nice too. So we got that. I'm gonna keep the deck box and the mat out, and then the only other thing that else is going is this camera. So the one thing I wanted to point out actually real quick is if you guys remember that lab video I did last week actually on December 9th. That was a series that we haven't done, or well, I haven't done in a couple years, but thanks to some new hardware and like just getting the people together to do it, we've actually been able to bring that series back, and it's actually doing very well thanks to you guys. So I appreciate all the support on the video. It's got almost 2,500 views and almost 100 likes. Maybe you guys can go push that to 100 likes. That'd be greatly appreciated. So then thank you guys for the support on that. I'll be trying to get more of those in the future as well, because you guys seem to really like them. I know back in the past people really like those types of things too, so I'm really looking forward to getting those going. And I just got done having a bit of a conversation with my brother and my dad, so I got a little bit sidetracked from filming here, and it's just now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I probably want to leave around maybe almost 5:30 because it is pretty snowy outside. Oh yeah, that's a lot of snow out there. Well, not too much. From where I live, we get a lot of snow quite regularly during the winter months, but it's always kind of comforting to see the snow every now and then, but like it can also be kind of unsettling, especially if you have to go driving in it, but it's not too bad right now, so we should be all good. I'm gonna get this video uploaded and also get started on rendering one and maybe editing one after that actually if I have time. Yeah, I've been really liking this format of thumbnail, and I think I've been doing it for like almost the entire year at this point. I think this is actually a change that I made back in like January of 2019, where you sort of pick a background image and then like a transparent image of like a monster that's representative of the archetype, and like just blurring the background. I think it looks really nice. What do you guys think? So some bad news. I actually just finished uploading that entire duel video of Striker Orcus versus Heroes. Uploaded it and realized as soon as it was uploaded that there was no music put into it. Now that's not the end of the world, granted, but it is something I'm gonna have to take down and re-edit. But I'm not gonna have time to re-render that entire video. It's gonna take an hour and I don't have an hour. So I'm gonna have to try and edit that Rocket Cosmo deck profile and get that all made up in time, get a thumbnail, get that uploaded, and that's gonna have to be what we're gonna have to do. So a bit of a change of plans as far as the uploads are concerned today. All right, so the video is done rendering, just finished eating and all that good stuff. Got the thumbnail made right there, looking pretty good. It's the Cosmo Rocket deck profile. It's done uploading and now it needs to process. Hopefully that doesn't take forever. It actually shouldn't take that long. It's not that long of a video. Hurry up, YouTube. All right, let's go. It's terrible weather. There's just like wet slush all over the ground. My feet are soaking wet now, but we gotta make the drive. It is now 6:19, and here we are. Let's do it. We're here at the 3v3s at Heart of the Game. This is our team right here.
What's
Adam,
up, guys?
Pablo over here. What's our team name?
Team Winner Kills, of course.
It wasn't my idea. Are we gonna do good?
We're gonna win.
Yeah, sure.
100%.
All right.
I'm playing Striker Orcus.
BA.
I'm playing Pendulums.
Yeah.
Pendulum best deck.
That's the
7
game plan,
negates.
boys. 7
You already know.
negates. I'm ending on 1,000,000,000 negates. He's just gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, everybody's just gonna.
He's just gonna banish
it's fine.
everything,
Yeah,
and
it's
we're
your
gonna
force is a
win.
god card.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
So we actually ended up getting the round 1 bye. So we don't get to play the first round. We only have to play 3 rounds. So free win. We take those. having the round 1 bye, we actually got a lot of inside information on what everybody else is playing. It's nice having that little competitive edge. Not intentional, but we'll take it. So with the final minutes of round 1 ticking down, after 40 minutes of waiting essentially, it was about time to sit down to our round 2 opponents. So for round 2, I had a very interesting matchup of playing against True Draco Sky Striker Orcust. It happened to be the same player that was piloting this deck that I played against the last week in a different tournament. So I had a little bit of a heads up on what this deck does, and was curious to see what kind of plays he could pull off turn 1. So we get started with normal Sky Striker shenanigans, Hornet drones, into the void, and then sets a couple back row, goes into Shizuku, ends phase resolves the Into the Void first, and then end phase follows up with Shizuku for, of course, another copy engage, and then he's going to go ahead and pass it over to me. So with seeing all the back row that he has set, I kind of have to play a bit cautiously, so I get started with Rhino Warrior, follow up with Tracker, and then follow up with the Sekka's Light immediately after, before I even bother going into Cherubini. Now, granted, I should have gone into Nightmare Phoenix first, but I decided to keep comboing through everything and see what he would stop. So resolve both of Sekka's Light's effect, then link those two off into Cherubini, follow up by using the Rhino Warrior to dump the Farfa to try to hit the Shizuku to try to bait anything out, and lo and behold, there's a Call by the Grave. Next up, follow up with the Danger Mothman, hope he doesn't hit it, hits the Block Dragon, and we draw an additional card. And then we follow up with the Gallus, mill a Destrudo, burn for 14, and then follow up with another Danger play. The Dangers were treating me well today. He'll hit the Gigantes, I'll summon this neck and draw. And now once I have enough resources on board to the point where it won't matter if the Cherubini goes through, I dump the Graph for the Seer, and then go into the best rank 3 ever printed, Dante, mill 3 for cost, mill a Mathman, a Block Dragon, and another Gallus. Then from there, I use Nessie, hits the O-Lion out of my hand, and draw another card, and get a free level 3 token. Now at this point, I feel as though it's the best time to go into a Nightmare Phoenix before I go any further into a Saryuja. Discard the Hydralander and roll to hit a back row, and there's a Widow Anchor, so really glad I got that out of the way. And then after he takes the Dante, I summon out Block Dragon before I go into my first Saryuja with everything but the Mothman. Summon the Saryuja, activate it as Chainlink 1, and then Block Dragon Chainlink 2, add Gigantes and Fossil Dyna, and then draw into 1, 2, 3, and 4 cards. And I pick up a Glow Up Bulb, which is so clutch in this matchup. Using Saryuja to special summon it out, I then follow up with Gigantes and synchro into the almighty Naturia Beast, which might just already have sealed me the game at this point. Then I follow up by summoning Glow Up Bulb from the grave using its own effect, and then summon Block Dragon one more time because that card's pretty fair and balanced. And then I'm going to go into Saryuja a second time just so I can get this Fossil Dyna out of my hand. End up picking up a copy of Giant Rex along the way, and I'll banish it off of the Block Dragon to summon it a third time, and then bring out the Fossil Dyna off of Saryuja, and then I'll head into the battle phase, swinging over everything, and then I'll use Dante and Seer's effect to bring out the Dante and add back the Seer for an extra 1,000 damage after swinging in with everything. It would have been game if the Giant Rex could attack, but thankfully it did not matter because he scooped right then and there. The Fossil Dyna and Nat Beast probably was a bit too much, and then we're going to head into game 2. Where, interestingly enough, he'll have me go first, but he does have a Lancea to shotgun in my standby phase, and of course I end up drawing Sekka's Light off Sekka's Light. But regardless, getting started with Gallus into Edgem Sabers, right into Cherubini, which will dump Rhino to dump Graph to summon out the Seer, and then I'll be forced to use the Edgem Sabers to stack the Glow Up Bulb to the top of my deck, detaching the Sabers and milling into 3 cards, Glow Up Bulb, Mathman, and Block Dragon, which is insane. I'll summon out the Glow Up Bulb using its own effect, unfortunately. I have to use it there, otherwise I would have been able to make Nat Beast and other things if he hadn't Lancea'd, but I'm able to go into Plan B, which is sort of Appaloosa and Beatrice. I'll pass it over to him, and he gets started with Dragonic Diagram, destroying a Orcust Harp Horror of all things, and adding a copy of True Draco Heritage. And then from there, he's going to get started with Allure of Darkness, and then here he had to make a bit of an interesting decision on whether or not he would have to banish either a Ray or a World Wand, because he is also playing that Sky Striker engine here, don't forget. So, at this point, I believe he ends up using the Harp Horror in the grave to go ahead and summon out the Orcust Nightmare. Now, I could have negated with the Appaloosa, but granted, I was a bit lazy with it. And what do I mean? I feel like there was a few opportunities that I just didn't take advantage of the Appaloosa because A, I wasn't paying attention, or B, didn't feel like it was a big enough threat. So he uses Harpour, now is technically locked into Dark, but if a bit of a mistake happens, which we'll get to in a moment. But I'm just saving that Beatrice for Farfa right until I see that Galatea, because I know at that point bad things are coming. So he normals the Ray and then links it off into a Kaina, which he technically should not be able to do. He'll end up being able to make my Appaloosa not able to attack until the end of the next turn, but as soon as I see that Galatea, I detach the Dante and dump a Farfa to the graveyard. Farfa chainlink 1, Dante chainlink 2. I'll add back Cherubini for later and banish the Galatea until the end phase. So there's no Dingirsu I have to worry about now. And again, I just let the Nightmare go through, which, you know, in hindsight, if I would have negated that right then and there, he would be out of any Orcus in the graveyard and really have not much of a play for next turn. So again, I don't know why I just didn't opt to use any of my negates, but overall, it didn't end up mattering because I was able to make, you know, light work of his field without even using a single negate from it. So end phase Galatea will come back. I'll get started with using Sekka's Light Graveyard Effect, draw a card, and I'm thinking I'm going to be able to play more Yu-Gi-Oh, but he draws a Droll and Lockbird much like I did and uses it right then and there. But now I'll summon Gigantes and just go into the battle phase and start butting heads into this Galatea that cannot be destroyed by battle. So passing it back over to him now, he is going to have a few options, Dingirsu being one of them. And now going back to the Droll and Lockbird, again, that's something I could have negated and probably gone for game had I been able to resolve the Sekka's Light in my hand. But, you know, just not paying attention and realizing that I could have done that is ultimately, you know, making my life a bit more difficult. But he's going to go ahead and use Dragonic Diagram now, target the Hornet Drones and Chain, and go ahead and add a copy of Ignis, and I'll follow up with a Droll and Lockbird of my own. And then at this point, he's going to play Heritage and use its Tribute effect to be able to Tribute Summon the Ignis, and then link that token off into a copy of Hayate. And now, on the Summon of Dingirsu, he never used an effect. He opted not to use the Attach effect or the Send effect in fear of the Appaloosa. But he was really intrigued by my ability to not use my Appaloosa's negates at all, because it actually kind of did throw him off, which was interesting to say the least. So he's going to be able to run over everything but the Gigantes, because if he does destroy that, it'll be a heavy storm on my behalf, clearing his diagram and his Heritage. So with having an Ignis, a Dingirsu, and a Hayate, a very interesting end board, he's going to go ahead and pass it back to me, and I'm going to get things started immediately with a Sekka's Light. End up drawing into, I believe, Droll and like a Fossil Dyna. So I use its Graveyard effect to put back a Libic, he chains the Ignis, and then I get started with a Gallistim, a Block Dragon, reveal a Nessie, hits the Droll and Lockbird out of my hand, and summon out the Nessie, and then I normal dot Scaper for turn, going all the way into Boral Sword, the OTK button, summoning the first Block Dragon by banishing a dot Scaper. That'll summon itself back off by its own effect, turn it to defense for the double attack, and summon a second Block Dragon. Go right into the battle phase, and with him already having 5k life, just him saving the Dingirsu is going to prove to be game in of itself, and we take the round 2 win 2-0 against Sky Striker True Draco Orcus. So as round 2 completed, all of us ended up winning our matches, which is absolutely amazing. A complete clean sweep across the board, a commanding victory, which is exactly what we wanted. And despite things looking grim for our Pendulum player in that pesky Cyber Dragon matchup and fighting off Super Polys and Interrupted Slumbers, he actually managed to clutch it out in his game 3 and take home the W. And we went on to round 3, completely undefeated. Granted, round 1 we had a bye, but still feeling great nonetheless. So yes, in round 3 I had to play against True Draco, unfortunately. This is a deck that I always hate playing against, but I was ready for the challenge, so dice roll happens, and of course I lose for the second time in a row. He goes first, luckily tributes away a Monarch's Erupt, jokingly almost activates a Demise as his last card, but sets 3 and passes. Now my bad luck continues by milling a Sekka's Light off of Gallus, so I try to turn to the dangers to see if my luck can sort of rebound. Luckily the Snet goes through, summon a Psychic Tracker, and now we try for the Nessie. He rolls the dice, and I believe he ends up hitting the Nessie, which isn't the biggest deal. So that's going to go ahead and add a copy of Snake, see if the Snake goes through, and he hits the Snake, but luckily we get it on the board anyways, and then revealing the last danger in my hand, the Jackalope, that will get its effect to summon out a Nessie from the graveyard. Now, linking all those off into a copy of Cherubini, figuring I could possibly get the combo going, he's going to flip up that Judgment alongside of his Apocalypse, and I'm going to go ahead and turn to using Second's Light other effect to be able to draw into a Mathematician. And on that summon, he's going to flip up the Monarch's Erupt, so I have no other choice but to go into a Dante, who's going to mill 3 for cost, and I end up hitting a Graph, which is so clutch. So it's going to summon out the Seer. It won't die because it's negated because of the Monarch's Erupt, and I'll link all of those off into a copy of the BLS link. Granted, it is negated, but it's still a 3k body, which is what I need in this situation. So I'll go into a Beatrice, which I should have put in attack position, but hindsight's 2020. Then from there, Block Dragon will hit the field, who I'll attempt to crash into the Dynamite Knight, but he's going to use Apocalypse to send it away to have the attack of all monsters on my field. Now, he was already down pretty low, and he had 1250, and if I would have put that Beatrice in attack, I probably would have won the game right then and there, but I didn't want to get too greedy as far as going for game was concerned. He top decks the Terraforming, which is pretty darn good. That gets him into Diagram, which is going to pop that Apocalypse. And from there, he's going to be able to search. He's got a few options in deck, and he took a good while to be able to figure out which card you wanted exactly, because in a situation like this, it really does come down to what card you get off this diagram. And he's consulting his teammate there of what card might be the best card to go for, deciding between True King's Return and Ignis. And I do believe he ends up going for the True King's Return, since he does have that Dynamite Knuckle in the graveyard, which he could use to bring back to potentially block damage for next turn, which he 100% needs to do. Even though all my monsters are considerably lower attack than they were, it could still bode to be a problem if he can't block damage, especially when he's sitting at 1250 life points. So at the end of the day, he'll grab that True King's Return and pop my BLS link with the Apocalypse, which he normally wouldn't be able to do because I summoned it using a level 7 or higher monster, but the Monarch's Erupt is a cool card. And luckily, that card clears itself in the end phase for me, since he does not control a Tribute Summon monster. And I'll top deck a Sekka's Light, which feels so darn good. And after him having an amazing top deck like Terraforming, I get the good top deck of my own. I'll start by using Beatrice on my turn to send the Giant Rex to the graveyard, add back Seer, and normaling the Seer. And then Seer will die immediately and reborn that Cherubini out of my grave, and I'll use it to send Rhino Warrior to boost it to 19, and then Rhino Warrior will follow suit in sending the Edgem Sabers to the graveyard, and he's going to go ahead and concede right then and there. And we're going to jump into game 2, where he is of course going to opt to go first again. And getting started with a Pot of Duality reveals a Terraforming, which is all he wants, but not going to grab the Dragonic Diagram this time, but going to grab a bit of a different card, a bit of a throwback, and that's the Monarch's Domain, or Domain of the Monarchs, whatever you want to call it. But basically, while you control a Tribute Summon monster and you don't have any cards in your extra deck, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So, thinking I'm in the clear with the Tour Guide, he flips up Skill Drain, which is no big deal, but now go into a Danger play. And I'll end up getting the Jackalope to resolve, which is really nice, at the cost of having to discard a Giant Rex. So now, at this point, I'm like, where's this Tribute Summon monster? It's got to be coming at some point in this turn, and it ends up being the Ignis from hand. And it'll clear the Tour Guide, but luckily, the Gallus comes in Omega Clutch, and I'll summon the Block Dragon by banishing a Dotscaper and a Giant Rex for a lot of extra link fodder. And then I'll link off the 2 level 3s into a Cherubini, send the Graph to summon the Seer as per usual, and then I'll link into a copy of Cerberus just to trigger my Block Dragon effect so I can get 2 Gigantes to my hand for later. And at this point, I'm just trying to go into a monster that's going to be hard for him to clear regardless. Even though my Avermax is negated, I want something that if he does end up clearing it, I'll be able to, send something on his side of the field back into the deck, because that effect will activate in the graveyard. So I've given him a bit of an obstacle to try to get over here, and if he didn't top deck really well, it might be looking grim for him. So he's going to pass it back to me. I end up drawing another Sekka's Light. Must be nice, right? And then from there, I summon the Block Dragon, and he's just going to scoop, having another copy of the Monarch's Erupt set. Not looking too good there, and we end up taking the clean sweep once again against True Draco as we head into the 4th and final round. Alright, round 3 just finished. We had to buy round 1, and then round 2 I ended up playing against Orcus, Striker Draco, won that 2-0, and then just finished playing against True Draco and won 2-0. So much Draco going around, and the rest of our team is also doing really good. How you doing?
Alright, so yeah, we got the buy round as you said, but the second round I played against the mirror match actually. He was playing a Striker Orcus deck as well. Game 1, he basically just tries to do the play, but I Ash's harp and imperm, or I imperm something as well. So he just wasn't playing. He didn't end anything good, and then I just proceeded to out-resource him and win the game. That game basically. Game 2, he goes first again. He makes the board, and I just don't open well enough to out it, and he just unicorns my one normal summon, and I just get my back blown out.
Yeah.
But then game 3. It's sort of grindy, but I ended up just taking it with a big play that he did. He was trying to cut me off from all my Orcus.
He had DD Crow, right?
Yeah, he had double DD Crow, but I hard opened the Babel, so it literally didn't matter. So
nice.
It was fine. But then, yeah, it just didn't matter because I had a Math Man in hand after he expended all of his resources, and then he just couldn't come back out of that. He had to do a Rochi twice, so he didn't have anything left in deck. And then round 3 played against the Paleo deck. I opened dog shit game 1. He blows my back out basically. There's nothing I could do. But I make him go first. Game 2, I opened double twin, so you could probably assume how that goes.
Yeah.
He had scapegoat, but it didn't matter. I just had
cleared all the tokens.
I just made the board, and I played around the Ghost Ogre too because I knew he played Ogre. So. And then game 3, he chooses to go first again, of course, because Paleo.
How you doing so far?
I played the Pendulum Mirror match and I lost the dice roll.
That's how it is sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, in that game 3, I opened 1 twin, but I also opened all the draw spells in the world. So I ended up hitting an engage, and then it's just engage funness after I twin him.
Yeah.
He has Lancia, but it doesn't matter. I just poke him twice, whatever. Then he summons a swap. I take it with my anchor, and he activates Demise, and I'm just sure.
Has the Demise.
Yeah, but he only sets 2, and he discards a frog off it, so it's whatever.
And then you end phase Cosmic to Breakthrough.
I end phase Cosmic to Breakthrough skill, so that's really nice.
And then you almost you biffed.
I almost
OTK.
threw the game because I could have just because he already took damage the prior turn. But I was so tunneled on Borosword for some reason. I don't know why. It was just stupid.
It happens.
But I'd Galte Harp on field or something, and I could have just attacked all of them for game. But I linked them all into a Borosword for whatever reason.
And just attacked over a swap.
Yeah, attacked over a swap, but then he drew nothing, so it was fine. So.
Well, he drew swap.
Oh yeah, he drew. Another
I thought he was gonna make a huge comeback, but he had the Shark Cannon.
Yeah, he drew another swap, but I had Shark Cannon for his Ronin, so
clean.
It was just game from there. So yeah.
What are you hoping to not play next round?
I mean, there's another Pendulum player in the room playing the big dumbass pens, as we like to call it, and I really don't want to play that deck. I hate that deck.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really don't care what I play, honestly. I'm pretty confident with my deck, so I don't know. What about you?
I'm kind of the same way right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll just take whatever. And if I can win, I haven't won a single dice roll tonight. If I win a dice roll, we might actually.
Yeah,
be
me too. I've not won a dice roll either, so
that'd
be nice if we do.
Yeah, I had to play through Droll. Listen to this. I get Lancia game 2 and round 2, and I've got the Appaloosa, or I have to make an Appaloosa play because my Block Dragon, everything's turned off. He shotguns the Lancia, and then I end up making Appaloosa with 3 negates and a Beatrice. Goes to him, he passes, goes back to me. I do a danger play, and then he drolls me, and I just don't negate with the Appaloosa. So almost completely through the game. I had Sekka's Light hand and everything too. I just choked, but it actually ended up coming in clutch because he was trying to bait the Appaloosa, and I just wasn't using it.
Nice.
But it ended up not being intentional. I was just being stupid.
Hey man, it works though.
Yeah,
it's fine. Don't worry about it. You took the game, so
yeah.
That's what matters. Now you know, maybe holding it wouldn't be the worst thing to do in that situation.
Yeah,
even if you
sure.
do need to end on a subpar board. So
we stay playing through Lancia.
Yeah, we stay playing through Lancia.
Fuck Lancia.
We get Lancia, we don't care.
We don't care.
Doesn't matter.
And here we are, the 4th and final round where I am playing against a good friend of mine who is playing Shadal Dinos. And I lose the dice roll again, but because of the nature of his deck, he opts to have me go first. So, getting started with the Sekka's Light and using its graveyard effect immediately, following up into Cherubini after normal summoning the Graph and specialing the Farfa. But he has the Ash for the Graph, so things are already looking a bit rough to start. So I immediately turn to the dangers to try to fix my hands, and Mothman will resolve, getting me another card, and then I'll use Cherubini to dump Rhino Warrior to follow up and dump the Edgem Sabers. So now from here, I need this Danger Snack to go through in order to get another level 3 on the board. He hits the snack and it summons itself from the grave immediately, so I'll miss out on a draw. But I use the Edgem Sabers to clutch and stack that Glow Bulb to the top of my deck to be able to mill off the Dante. I go into Yugioh and use it as Chainlink 1, Dante Chainlink 2, and he has the Impermanence, so he stops me at pretty much both perfect points, having the Ash for the Graph and having the Impermanence for the Yugioh. Since I didn't open up that many great extenders, I have to pass it over to him. And to my dismay, he unfortunately opens a copy of Lost World and a copy of Shaddoll Fusion, so he's just off to a fantastic start. And he's going to go ahead and actually fuse completely from his hand because he has Coatlas and Shaddoll Beast in his hand. So Window will hit the board and get a 500 or 300 attack and defense boost from the Yugioh. He'll go ahead and summon the Conductor Tyranno, and he said this is where he ended up making a bit of a mistake because he never summoned a token on the summon of the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to give him a token to be able to run into to, of course, be able to give him an additional effect. But he's going to pass there, and I've got to worry about a Winda and an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is pretty rough. So we start off with the Sekka's Light Graveyard effect, immediately go into the Block Dragon, and I'm forced to crash because of the Lost World. Both of our monsters are down to 2k apiece. I try to use the Block Dragon's effect. I'm explaining I get to add up to 3 Rock-type monsters in my deck who total level equals 8, and he says otherwise. But luckily, I top deck the Hydralander for turn, summon it to the field, and immediately use its effect to clear the Ultimate Conductor. I normal the Graph that I added back previously, special the Seer from deck, and then the Seer summons out the Cherubini, and Cherubini to go ahead and takes the Rhino Warrior to the graveyard. And I pass there, not much else I can do. But luckily for me, there's not much else he can do either but set one and pass. I'm going to take an opportunity here in the end phase to try and use another Hydralander, but it misses this time around because I milled a Block Dragon. And to start off my turn, I use Cherubini to dump a Mathman to the graveyard to be able to gain it to 2,000 attack. Summon out a Block Dragon and banish a Giant Rex in the process, and he's just going to go ahead and scoop right then and there as we head into Game 2. Was not expecting that game to be a win on my part, but especially after Lost World Shaddoll Fusion, but you know, the Hydralander came in clutch as it does. He gets started with a Pot of Extravagance, and he does not fix his hand like he was hoping to, sets 2 and passes. Now I get started with Mathematician, and he immediately slaps down that Ash Blossom, and I confuse my Hydralander for a Sekka's Light, revealing it in my hand on accident, and then I Sekka's Light, drawing to another copy of Sekka's Light, which is unfortunate. So I'm forced to immediately activate its Graveyard effect to put a Seer back into my deck and hopefully draw into a better card. And now I get started with a Danger Place, but he flips up a copy of Silent Graveyard and ends up discarding a copy of DD Crow to basically Dweller me for this turn. So I'm hoping he doesn't hit any of my dangers, so luckily the Jackalope goes through for an extra draw, discarding a Hydralander, and the Nessie goes through for an extra draw as well at the cost of discarding a Sekka's Light. But that will allow me to get Nessie on board, which will allow me to link up into the BLS link, which will come in super clutch here, thanks to Nessie not being able to be targeted or destroyed by card effects. But I go into battle phase and use BLS's effect to gain 1500 attack, putting him to 4500. I also managed to run over a set Giant Rex in the process, so I pass it back to him and hope he didn't top deck the Absolute Stones, but he gets started with a copy of Lost World, which might be good enough. Following that up, I believe he ends up having a normal summon of the Miscellaneous Saurus here. I'm feeling pretty safe though, like I said, from the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, even with Dugares combined to make it 7,000. He did just have to sacrifice his battle phase to be able to resolve the effect of Petty Ranodon in the graveyard through Lost World to get him Oviraptor on the board to be able to ultimately search Conductor Tyranno for the following turn. So I was a bit afraid of the Dugares UTC combo, but because he had to use his battle phase early on, I'm safe from it for this turn. So he's going to opt to go into a rank 4 here, and he's going to go for Dweller to try to slow me down for one more turn to see if he can make a comeback. So he passes it back to me after doing just that, making the Dweller and detaching in my standby phase. I start with the Mathematician, send the Glow Up Bulb, and summon Hydralander immediately after, link my Mathman and his token away into a copy of Nightmare Cerberus to be able to clear the Dweller to open up his board for more damage. Summon out Gigantus to clear the last double in my graveyard, which is Mathematician. Use Hydralander's effect. It does go through, and I clear the Lost World and swing in with everything for game. 4,500, 3K, 16, and 19. And we end up taking another 2-0 clean sweep on my behalf, and the rest of our team is doing pretty good as well. Our Pendulum player unfortunately lost his match, so it was all down to whether or not our Orcus player could clutch it in Game 3 against Marincess. After all was said and done, he was able to come in clutch, take the match 2-1, just about a minute left in time. So our entire team went 4-0 if you count the bye, but overall, super happy with the experience and can't wait for the next one. Ended up actually going undefeated the entire time, didn't drop a single game, and our team ended up going 4-0. And now we're going to drive back and head home. Back home, I have the opportunity tomorrow to go to a UDS points tournament. I may go to that, I don't know. I kind of want to stay up really late and just work on this video because I'm really pumped for it and see how well it comes out, essentially. Still cold out, still wet. Need to get back inside. And we're back. I've said that 1,000 times because I suck at doing these types of videos, so please forgive me. But now we're gonna wrap things up. So everything went better than expected. I don't know why for some reason I would get paired up with something really bad to play against round one, because I feel like a lot of the times I go to tournaments or whatever, it's always that first round that ends up deciding like how the rest of the day goes. But we got the bye round one, and so like obviously that's just free. And then I ended up playing against Striker Draco Orcus, which I played against the previous week. So, I mean, it's just still like a hard deck to kind of like play against and side for because it's just so many different engines coming at you. But, you know, we were able to pull it through. So, you know, at 2-0 every game, I was able to 2-0 every game, which is insane. So, I'm going to probably start editing this footage, see how it looks, see if you guys will even see this video. And gonna make some food as well, make some night breakfast, because that sounds like a pretty good idea. But if you guys do end up seeing this video, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave some comments on feedback and things like that, what I could do better for next time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you later.